Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to your Tuesday morning. This is Coffee with Campus Consultancy, episode number 17, and we're joined today by the amazing Josh.
Hello.
Josh, mate, good morning.
Dang, good morning, Josh and Josh.
I know, this is going to get super confusing. If you're listening in, if you're tuning in this morning, today we're going to be talking about health, achieving your health goals, with a fridge only a few meters away from myself and from many people right now. It's a timely topic, so we'd love to know from you. If you're tuning in, if you're listening to us in the comments, let us know. How are you thinking about health in 2020? How are you getting through the COVID kilos? Is that something, have you taken it? This is a time where you're bunkering down Dragon Ball Z style and you're going to emerge from this a conqueror, or is this time guilt-free? And is this the Krispy Kreme COVID times and we should feel no guilt and it's not a worry at all? We'd love to know. Let us know in the comments if you're tuning in. But today we're joined by the wonderful, wonderful Josh. I don't know if you just want to address your questions to black-shirted Josh or checkered-shirted Josh. That seems like a lot of typing.
It's also two Josh F's as well, which is even more confusing.
It's confusing. I mean, but fortunately we're here together today, so maybe we can be a team effort.
Yeah,
if
that's
anyone has thoughts or questions. Cool, man. Thanks for tuning in. Now I've got to ask you, Coffee with Campus Consultancy, are you a coffee drinker, tea drinker?
Yeah, big coffee drinker, mate. I've got. It's kind of sad. I'm actually drinking this 99% sugar-free cappuccino sachet things.
Okay.
I swear by them, mate. So I've always loved these like coffee sachets, you know, like the ones you buy at the supermarket. They don't taste like good coffee, but they just kind of hit a spot. But then I found these sugar-free ones, and what it means is they're less sweet, so you get like proper coffee bitterness out of them.
Okay.
Whereas normally they're super sweet. So anyway, that's what I'm on this morning.
And that's doing it for you?
That's for sure.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was funny.
I got the Dunder Mifflin mug going on. I'm all about it.
Oh, you're gonna have to explain what that is to me.
The Office. The Office. It's the, the TV show.
Oh, okay. Look, mate, yeah. I'm just not as cool as you. You've out-cultured me within the first 2.5 minutes.
I'll let that one slide, mate. It's all good. We're all right.
Mate, I love it. I'm interested. No, this is fun. I always enjoy this. Sometimes this is a very self-indulgent production. I mean, obviously, but even more so, I think I have the most fun. Cool. Let's talk health.
Let's do it.
When did health become something that you started really thinking about? Like, were you a 12-year-old who was jumping out of bed in the morning and doing 100 push-ups before you started the day, or?
Yeah, no.
No, neither, right? I don't think anyone is, right?
No, definitely not. So what sort of happened was last year I was lucky enough to get a graduate role from the university degree that I was finishing. But that role didn't start till March. So I sort of said to myself, I kind of wanted to I worked really hard last year and sort of saved up a lot so that I could take sort of end of December through to the start of March off without having to work. Because, I was going to be full-time work for the rest of my life. I wanted to enjoy the last couple of months I had off. But about 3
weeks. Before
life
ends, before life is over.
That's right, yeah. About 3 weeks into that, I was getting really bored. I was like, oh, I can't believe I've done this. Anyway, so I started, I don't know, just for something to do. I started, I don't know if you've ever heard of the 1,000 Steps here in Melbourne.
Well, I have, and it's funny that you mentioned steps. The first person who jumped in the comments, Lucy Badman, has just said, I've been making sure I hit 10,000 steps a day and try to do other things sort of like that. So interesting, mate. The steps have been a metric that I think a lot of people are using. The 1,000 steps are out in the Dandenongs, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I started going out there. I hadn't been before. I went once and loved it, and it was pretty tough for me. So I started doing that a lot. And it was kind of like a double, like there's two reasons I was doing it. One, because I was bored and, wanted something to do. And two, I was going on a hike in early Feb through Tasmania. We did Bo Arnfield and I did a 7-day hike down in Cradle Mountain there. So I needed to get a little bit fitter for that. And yeah, just sort of one thing led to the next, and I started to see improvements in how quickly I was able to do the 1,000 steps in Dandenong. Came back from the walk, because you're only, you're not eating much and you're walking, 15, 20 kilometers a day. Bo and I both lost about 7 kilos on that walk.
Wow.
We put it back on in the next couple of days we had in Hobart relaxing. But yeah, so from pretty much then I started, just getting better at walking, and then that led to running, and then, that led to other things, and weight started to fall off me because, I needed to lose weight. And that kind of motivated me to keep going, I guess. And here we are.
Here we are. Mate, it's pretty striking, like having reconnecting with you over this call today. Just the shape and tone of your face is like, it's so different. Like, it's amazing how you can see, the difference in someone's appearance and sort of just their energy and aura. I mean, you're always sort of an energetic guy. Like, do you ever get that question? Like, do people say like, "Oh, has it changed your, have you had a spiritual transformation?" Or are you just like, "No, I lost some weight."
It's weird for me because I feel like I'm the exact same. I don't see any different. I don't feel any different.
I love that.
I feel better, but like I don't feel like I'm a different person.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, I'll take it. I'll take it for sure.
I like it. Now, I suppose it's very important. We need to point out 2 critical things if we're having this conversation. One is that neither Josh F's, despite the similarity in names, are medical professionals. We intend to give zero medical advice, but we'd love to talk to you about our kind of journeys. And it's been something that I don't know if I've ever really spoken about this publicly on LinkedIn. So it'll be fun to sort of share that with you today. Number two, on a much less serious note, we're very proud to partner with Kua Coffee. So if you would love to get your hands on some amazing coffee, screenshot this little thing, share it, tag Kua, comment in the little comments and say, how do you have your coffee every day? We'd love to hear that from you. I don't know if Kua Coffee is necessarily going to help you lose 7 kilos on a hike across Tasmania, but it does taste really good. So if you want to get your hands on some Kua Coffee and do some good in the world positive coffee, we'd love to hear from you. They're amazing, and we love their support. And one of the things that I guess, if I want to translate from that, your sort of story into the idea of things as simple as coffee, maybe 2 years ago, I started to look at, how much kind of like sugars and fats and things like that were in my coffee every day. And it wasn't until someone used the phrase, they were talking about, because for my job in recruitment, I was having multiple coffees a day. Like I was like coffee chatting with people. And after a while, I was like, oh, this is like, I don't know if this is making me feel so good. So I started looking into it. And someone used the phrase that hot coffee, like people walking around with coffees, was like adults walking around drinking hot milkshakes out of sippy cups. And for some reason, that phrasing, I was like, that's so true. It's a hot, sugary milkshake in a sippy cup.
Wow, it actually is. It
was interesting, right? Like not to rag on coffees or whatever. And then ever since that day, I was just like, all right, I'm going to start drinking like long black coffees. And it was funny, and that's like what I drink now. But it was funny how I noticed that difference from when I first made that little, like diet change, like a micro diet change. Like the thrill of having the coffee was like, it was less of like that like childhood birthday cake stimulus reward thing. Like, oh, this is so sweet and good. It was like, oh, this serves its purpose. It's part of my day. I really enjoy it. Built a show around it, but it's not that same like craving. And I think my whole like sort of food journey and weight loss journey since like being a kid, like most overweight kid in my school, slowest kid around the field. Like that was kind of my background for most of school. Some things have been big changes and some have just been these little tiny changes.
Tell me more about, because I've seen you, I saw your message or comment or something the other day saying like you could relate and all that sort of stuff. And I haven't heard anything about your sort of weight loss journey. So I want to hear about it. I want you to tell me about it.
Yeah, for sure. And jump in. I'd love to hear that kind of parallels as well. Like if you relate, if you had something totally different. Because I think career journeys, weight loss journeys, relationship journeys, there's always parallels, but always points of difference. And if anyone is listening in and you've been through a similar thing, whether you're experiencing it right now or whether this is something that you've been through in the past, I'd love to hear from you. So jump in and let us know. But yeah, for me, I think it was, I mean, without getting too much into like the pseudo psychology behind it and just the facts of it, from when I can remember being an early kid, like 6, 7, 8, something like that, until my late teenage years, maybe like 16, 17. I was just called like the fat kid in school. That was the identity that I'd sort of lent into and identified with. And I don't really know how to it's not looking for an attribution of blame, but it was kind of my reality. Like I look back on it and I just like look at all the school photos, and like when I played rugby for a few years and I was like a prop, I played in the front row. And even though I was horrible at rugby because I didn't train and had zero fitness or cardio and like very little strength, I was just like, I brought kilos to the scrum. Like that was my contribution. And it was something I would like held a lot of like sort of like shame and guilt and frustration around. And I thought people were frustrated at me. I thought it was like based on my appearance, but I've realized later in life that like, no, it was like, I was so self-conscious about that I like acted out and was really judgmental. And then surprise, people respond to you being very judgmental. And I'd always thought like, oh, it's this thing about me that's wrong that I can't control. And then I realized, in my teenage years that I kind of could control it, but it was little things. Like this is the weirdest thing. One of the turning points for me was I listened to Shane Warne of all people, who he struggled with weight and stuff. And I remember there was an interview once where I was just super into cricket and sport. And I listened to him do this interview once, and he said he was talking about his diet and he lost all this weight. He's like, I stopped eating butter on my toast. I stopped eating desserts. I stopped drinking soft drink, He just like laid out these 4 or 5 things. I'm like, that's it. I'm going to do that too. I can't remember how old I was as a teenager. And I was like, that week, I was like, all right, no butter on the toast, no snacks, no soft drink, no chocolate, no ice cream. I just went like cold turkey on the lot. And I can't remember the number now, but in that week, I lost 7, 8, 9, something like that kilos.
Yeah, right. Wow.
No exercise, no additional exercise.
Yeah.
Just diet. And it shocked me because I mean, I might have been playing rugby at the time. I can't remember, but like, I just knew that like it was a comfort for me. And after dinner, like I go to my room and I have some ice cream or like bowl of spaghetti as big as this table. And I'd sneak the Nutella jar and I'd just like eat that out of the jar. Like I was a shocker.
Yeah.
And I feel that. Yeah, and I thought, and my thing was like, I thought if I can hide this from my parents as they're the authority figure, if I can hide it from them, then I'm getting away with it. And I didn't realize like, oh no, my actions are causing damage to me.
Yeah. Yep. 100%. I think it's really interesting that you talk about, you cut out just a few things and then you sort of start to see, just in the course of a week, how quickly things change. The exact same thing happened to me, except it wasn't like a Shane Warne interview that I heard. It was actually a lot of my friends. I don't know. A lot of times I go out for coffee now. It's probably less common that people get traditional, cow's milk in their coffee or whatever. It's always soy or almond or to the extent that they get milk. Obviously, a lot of people get espressos as well. But so I decided, okay, I'm going to stop having milk because I had like these like skin issues as well. And I thought, okay, well, maybe it'll help with that.
Yeah.
And so I cut out dairy, and exact same thing. It was within the course of a couple of weeks already, without even really, like I was walking, but I wasn't doing anything super, intense. And like that, you start to see huge differences.
It's crazy, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Was this something that, in terms of when you started to see changes, do you think it was there like a moment where you're like, oh, okay, I need to change this? Or were you thinking about something in the future of like, oh, this is, I want to, it's a goal for 2020. Like, I'm just thinking like, if someone's in this situation right now and they're listening and they're like, it's not for how other people treat you, but just how you feel about yourself.
Yeah.
Was it a moment? Was it like this thing you wanted to achieve? Like, where did it kind of come from because it does take more energy, right? Even just conscious energy to pay attention to these things and to say, I'm going to cut something out that I've enjoyed for a lot of years. Yeah. Just interested where that came from for you.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard for me to say. I went into the year wanting to lose weight. It was like, the typical, it's a new year. This is an opportunity. to change some things. And so
Yeah.
then, 2 or 3 days in, I was feeling the exact same way I had every other time I tried to lose weight. I was like, this is pointless, it was, I was thinking about all of the things I would have to do in order to get, and it was just demotivating me so much. So I went into the year wanting to lose weight, but then as I started to feel fitter, doing the steps, and I cut out dairy, and I started to feel a lot better. It made me realize that actually I didn't need to do that much different. I had to make some changes, but it was all kind of within the flow of the same routine. And once I realized that I didn't have to change my routine so much, I just had to adjust certain things like along that chain. For example, having soy instead of dairy, or I found these these muesli bars that I like to eat now that I would normally have had chocolate or whatever. Just little changes along that flow, and then it got a lot easier for me to continue to go. And then you see results, and that motivates you to get to another stage and another stage until you feel comfortable. And ultimately this is about your comfort. It doesn't matter how anyone else perceives you, the way you are. It's ultimately dependent on where you want to get to, or where you want to stop, or whatever it is. And for me, it was like realizing that actually, hey, this isn't so bad,
Yeah. I had a funny experience with that too, of that idea of it not being for other people. And this is something I've always wrestled with. And I always believe that I should think about it that way. And it might be that it's not fully resolved. But there's still always that little bit of going from a situation. I don't know if this is true for your experience, but for mine, where it was like the verbal abuse of high school, which is probably true for lots of people for lots of different reasons. You're too skinny, you're too tall, you're too this, you're too that, you're too anything except average, and there is no average. And that when I noticed it was a order of magnitude reduction in comments that came from other people when I lost weight. And I don't know. I would love to say, I'd love to really believe that that's because I became more comfortable with myself, but I don't know if that was true for me. I think it was, I started seeing the results and other people saw the results, and I don't know where that or how that led to people treating or interacting with you differently, but just people would give me the time of day, and I never normally get the time of day from them. And that was a really noticeable difference. And I just wonder about it. I wonder where that place of, because
sorry, I was just going to say there is definitely an element of, I don't really know how to say it, but the people around you can impact your success levels in your goals in general, not just weight loss, but everything, so dramatically by their energy as well. When the people, not necessarily your close friends, because obviously they're going to support you through whatever, but the people just outside of that, the people that know you, or maybe don't know you the way they think they do, but they think that they know you, and they're comfortable talking to you, and you hear what they say, and if their energy is bad, that definitely has a motivational effect on you. I couldn't agree with you more on that. And I think there's definitely, look, as much as I hate to say it, a big part of, once I started to see results and feel a lot better about myself, a big part of my motivation was proving all of them wrong. I remember back in PE class, back in, it would have been year 9, year 10. This shows how petty I am. This was 6-7 years ago, but
it sticks with you though. This stuff is sticky.
Yeah. So we were playing PE, and we were playing in PE. This it's called Octopus or something. Essentially, there's one person in the middle, and you have to run from one end to the other without getting tagged by them. And I was one of the last people left running up and down, and I actually ended up winning. And someone in the class said, "How the hell did Josh win?" And someone else yells out, "Because he's a fat Usain Bolt." And that in my head I don't know why it's stuck there the whole time. And all of this time that I've been losing weight, I just consistently remember someone in year 10 or 11 calling me a fat Usain Bolt. And I was like the mindset people would have if they met me now compared to then is completely different. But that's because my energy has changed and my focus has changed.
Yes.
And that led to the people around me, you know, changing their energy. So
yes,
let's start with yourself, I guess.
Well, that's interesting. Like that idea of where your focus changes. I think it's a big thing, especially right now with like in the COVID world. Like if we're not controlling our focus, if we're not focusing on, you know, whatever it is, improving our careers, our relationships, the things we can control, you know, what we do have and what we can be grateful for, it's so easy to fall into focusing on what's wrong, what's not the way it wants, what are people not, you know. So I think that idea of depending on what you focus on is what you're obviously putting your energy into, like by definition, like that's what you're focused on, that's where your energy is going to go. And so general goal setting, that's definitely true. So I think with health, that makes a perfect sense of your energy will change depending on where that focus is. And therefore that energy wake that you bring in around other people will change. And therefore how they respond to you, probably fair to say, will change.
Yeah, it's the thing with health generally is that it's so personal, but it also has such a stigma around it. Like there is a way you're supposed to be in terms of health. Whereas in terms of like professional goals, that can be different for everyone without, I mean, there are certain stigmas around, but it's definitely less, I think, social than things like health. But in order to fit in with those kind of stereotypes, you need to embark on a really personal kind of journey of self-reflection and internal ambition and all of these different things that the people around you can't really control. So, or rather, you can't control with anyone except yourself.
Yes.
So, you know, you really have to be, I guess the thing with achieving goals in terms of health is that you really, if you're not starting with yourself, you're probably starting in the wrong place. And when you start with yourself, you'll see those flow-on effects of one, your own, you know, goals becoming closer, but also the people around you realizing that they were wrong or that they, you know, had the wrong perception of you before then. So, and that goes to everything, I guess, you feel when you're stuck inside in lockdown. Is that it's easy to, I guess, wallow in self-pity a little bit, just feel, I don't know, feel isolated and all that sort of stuff, which of course is tough for people. But I guess, the number one thing is just start with yourself, start with your own energy, and things will flow on from there, you know?
Yeah. And when it comes to the goal part of it, when you were starting with your own energy, I totally agree with that. I think that's crucial of just thinking about you and your life and how then it affects other people, but starting with you. Yeah. Did you say, okay, I've got a number in mind, or I've got a number of steps per day, or how did you start to like structure that when you're like, okay, I'm going to make some changes? Was it designed, or did you sort of chip away?
No, it wasn't designed at all. So I had a number in my head. I wanted to lose 25 kilos. So I was 110 kilos, and I wanted to get to 85 by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And then that was it. That was the only goal I had. And obviously, you would know that's probably not specific enough. And I hadn't set out any. I mean, yeah, but I hadn't set out any of the other like steps. I was going to lose 25. And then as I started getting fitter and working out little, I guess, things that I could replace in my diet or times of day to eat, and I actually got super into it because I had nothing else to do with my time.
Yeah.
That's when it started to become a lot more kind of step-by-step kind of process. But honestly, like none of the goals I came up with in terms of like little micro goals along the way were planned or thought through. I set those goals because I learned something along the way.
Yes.
I didn't sort of preconceive them, if that makes sense. Like I'd notice something and I'd be like, oh, okay, so that worked. Then I'm going to try and do that more often. And I'm going to try and do this less often. It wasn't like, okay, I want to eat, 3 muesli bars in a week or whatever,
Yeah. I think that I think this goes straight to the core of the issue around this, and the whole idea of you learn and you make progress by doing stuff. That idea of like, I'll start losing weight, I'll start applying for jobs, I'll start studying when I'm motivated. It doesn't work like that. Like, you get the motivation from doing the thing and like seeing the progress, and that big goal, like when you're saying it's not specific enough, I kind of think that that's almost the perfect amount, because it's an overarching goal. And then it's just like how you could chunk that down and milestone it down, but it's a aim for the moon, land on the roof kind of thing of like, if I know I'm heading in this general direction, it doesn't kind of matter the route, I think, as much. Like if you go on a road trip, you need to end up somewhere. It doesn't matter where you stop for gas. It doesn't matter what you have for lunch. It doesn't matter if it takes an extra hour or whatever, but like it's that direction one way sort of blocks off the idea that lots of other alternatives are something that you're willing to accept. You're like,
yeah, that's so interesting. I would never have thought the way that things have gone that I would have started 2020, the way I was, and by this time now in May, like it's crazy to me. I can run 21 kilometers. Like I can run a half marathon now. I couldn't run 2 kilometers when I started the year, and it's not like I've gone along the course of the year training like properly, like interval training and setting certain goals and meeting them and then tapering back. Like I haven't done any of that. I've just sort of run. And the thing you say about just trying different routes and just seeing what works, 100% happened in my case, and I am a huge advocate for it.
Yeah, I love that. If you were to see you 6 months ago, a year ago, a couple of years ago, and your buddies hanging out, and old you was talking to current you and was like, wow, mate, like you look good, you're happy, you seem really healthy, you're running 21 kilometers, amazing. What are some things that I might, not as advice, but things I might try in my life, things that worked for you? People were saying, okay, today, 5th of May, I'm going to try a couple of things out. What are some things that you think fair to say, consult a doctor if you're in a high risk category, but if not, people could experiment with or at least entertain the thought of trying?
I think the number one thing is start what we've always spoken about. Start with yourself. There's actually a really great. I'm a huge hip hop fan. There's a really great song about this, about going back and talking to your previous self and the things you'd say. It's called Nate, by an artist called NF, and I take a lot of inspiration from that song. What I would do is I'd go back and I'd tell myself, in terms of general health tips, I would tell myself to cut out dairy for sure. I'd tell myself to, try a low carb diet. I'd tell myself to exercise more, but they're all really specific things. They work for some people, they don't work for others. What I would tell myself is that other people are going to perceive you a particular way. And that can really affect your own psyche. The most important thing is to have belief in yourself and start with your own energy, and from there see the things around you begin to fall into place a lot more frequently than they would when you are down on yourself because the people around you are down on you. So I think that's what I talk to myself about, the caring about what other people think more than you care about yourself, if that makes sense.
And you're saying to not care about what other people think as much as you care about.
Don't care about what other people think. Care about what you think, and care about what people. We're getting that way. I'll leave that. But I think obviously there are certain tips about general health I would recommend. Trying to cut carbs a little bit, dairy. Just go for a walk around the block. Start with that. Like we're all in lockdown, but you can still go for a walk around the block. And everyone should, when they get the opportunity, at least go for a walk around the block, because from there you'll begin to notice that you can walk around the block a lot easier. And then you say, hey, I might try and run a little bit of this. And then you say, hey, I might try and run all of this. And it flows on from there in terms of general fitness. But also it's a really personal thing. So whatever works for one might not work for another.
I love that. I think I've never really made this connection before, but I wonder if that's a little bit of the metaphor behind I don't know if this reference will work, but the Dragon Ball Z like chamber where they go into a place and they're locked in a place all by themselves for a year.
Yeah.
And then they come out and they're way stronger. I wonder if that's a little bit of a meditation on this idea of like, you're going insular, I'm focusing on me. And then when you come out, it's really different and everyone perceives it differently. But it's not like this other sphere where a year goes by in the course of a day or whatever it is. Trying to remember my like pre-primary school morning cartoons for exactly how the science behind Dragon Ball Z works. But
I got to admit, I was never really into Dragon Ball Z, but it kind of, the way you're describing it kind of seems like it might be.
Just always interested when people go, I actually have way more in here in potential that I can control, and I can also unleash as well. Of like, as you say, the 21 kilometer thing of like, I mean, if you were to say to you in January, like, all right, you're gonna be running 21 kilometers, like,
what?
yeah, seriously, like.
Yeah, and the thing is, if I could, like, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but if I can do it, anyone can. You know what I mean? It's not like I did anything special in terms of training or that. I just had a crack and just learned along the way. And I think everyone can have a crack, you know?
Yeah. I love it. Mate, this has been a really nice conversation. It's funny to have such a personal conversation in a public forum, but I like the pressure that comes with it. I find it does an interesting thing to my thinking. So I really appreciate you doing that, and I appreciate you sharing your story, because it's super recent and personal as well, you know.
And hey, you too. I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you telling your story, and that I think, you know, when you meet other people and you hear other stories about the way it's worked for someone else or their own journey, especially with something so personal like health, definitely inspires you for sure.
Yeah, big time. So if you're listening out there and this is a part of, and you're on this journey, you're at any stage of this, whether it's beginning, you've come out the other side, I'd love to hear from you. So feel free to shoot through a message and check in. And I won't be dispensing any advice necessarily, but I'm very happy to just have a chat and share what I went through and how I dealt with food and diet and exercise and how that's changed over the years. Like, it was kind of 10 years ago that I think I kind of made that initial change, but then like you relapse a little bit and then you come back. And I think there's always that journey there. So if people are out there and interested, please reach out, have a chat. I'd love to talk about it. And I think it's crucial. And all the research around health and wellness says it directly relates to your performance at work, relates to your happiness, relates to your relationships. So I think it's something worth exploring, especially as we start to think about reemergence from a post-COVID-19 sort of lockdown situation.
Yeah.
Cool.
Ditto.
Josh, thanks for your time, my man. Have a wonderful day and appreciate you coming on and having a chat.
All right. You too, mate. Appreciate it.
Awesome. I'll speak with you soon, my friend.
Okay. See you, mate. Bye-bye.
Bye, mate. See you all. We'll see you tomorrow at 8 a.m., episode 18. We'd love for you to join us. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking to the wonderful Tim. So Tim Friel's going to come on and talk about how to make early career decisions. So if you're interested in that, if you're early in your career, if you're a university student or staff member or looking after millennials or managing younger people or Gen Z now, really, if you're in that situation, you want to think about some tools and frameworks. Tim and I share a little bit about our journey, as we always do in the show, in the format. We'll also be a little bit, we'll lean into being quite practical and some frameworks and decision-making tools that you can use. So if you're into that, 8 a.m. tomorrow, we'd love for you to join us. And also, if you ever want to come on, the link's in the comments. You can always jump into the stream, share your 2 cents. So for today, really appreciate your time. Really appreciate you joining us. Christina, absolutely love that. Thank you for following. And Max, thanks for tuning in as well. Always great to see you there. Wishing you all the best. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Take care of yourself. Take care of your health. And if you're on that journey as well, please, please, please reach out. Always up for a chat. And I'm sure that's very much the same for Joshy there too. So wish you the best. Have a great day. And we will speak to you again very, very soon. See ya.